All right. Well, we are live, and thank you to everyone who is attending this month's CAD Chats. This is our monthly event. We do this every last Thursday of the month. And we just, we have wonderful designers, TDs, AI designers, not just fashion designers. We have all different people who are working with computer aided design. And we just geek out and talk about how they're doing it and what tools they're using. So this week, we have the pleasure of having a technical designer on, who I will let her introduce herself. But I'm excited about that because I am trying to sort of bring in some of the other people who are working cross-functionally with fashion designers to help remind us how important their role is in creating the products and all the things that we sell to our consumers. So I will I'm going to solo you, and I am going to let you start. And let me give you a round of applause. Where's my applause? Hold on. There it is. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Wow.
take it away.
Well, hello, I'm Sarah Wattley. I am a technical designer, but I would say I'm also a 3D designer. I'm also a pattern maker. I think I'm not alone in finding it difficult to define myself in one role. There's a lot of integrated roles within this industry. But I guess the overall goal is to get the creative designer's vision through technical details and into production. So I help bridge that journey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's an interesting thing. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it's kind of hard to define. I think we have to start like coming up with new names for the roles that we have, because technical designers, especially ones who are working in 3D now, it's like, are you a 3D designer, or are you a technical designer, or are you a pattern maker?
Exactly.
You know?
All of the above, or whichever ones you need,
Right,
or
exactly.
hybrid parts of bits of all of the above. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
interesting,
no
interesting.
two jobs or clients or projects seem to be the same. It really depends on where they're at and what they need. And I guess communication is really the game.
Yeah, yeah, for
Mhm.
sure, for sure. So you hinted at you also do 3D. So can you tell us what CAD software you primarily use, and then if there are others that you also have in the mix?
I use CLO3D. That's it. That's the only
Really?
3D software that I'm using so far. Yeah, because I haven't really gotten much into like the backgrounds and the Blender and all the rendering. Like I'm really trying to just use it functionally as like, oops, there you go. Just trying to use it functionally to create the patterns. And
Mhm.
I mean, the 3D file might be a little different, obviously, to the final pattern that gets sent to a factory, but they are very close.
Mhm.
So I just use Clo to do the draping in virtually, make sure that the design looks right. And then once we've got that approved, we can turn that into an actual DXF file, which a factory can use if they choose to. Sometimes they prefer to do their own patterns and they can just
Mhm.
use my stuff as a guide. And
Gotcha,
then
gotcha.
one of the best parts about it, I think, is the ability to measure from your actual 3D prototype, and that can inform your tech pack. So even if
Mhm.
a factory chooses to go right off of a tech pack, I'm still using the information from Clo.
Nice, nice. Now, so you are creating your patterns directly in Clo. Are you using anything like Illustrator or any freehand tools like a Procreate or anything like that?
I have downloaded Procreate. I haven't done much with it as yet. I do my illustrations in Illustrator, but again, I find that Clo's schematic render, it gives you a pretty good like black and white sketch. A lot
Mhm.
of the times I'll have to clean it up, like, or if I want to zoom in on like specific sketches for details. But I do use Illustrator. So I would say that my trio is Excel, Adobe Illustrator, and CLO. Those are three softwares that I have running pretty much all the time.
Cool, cool.
Sometimes I
Okay,
feel like I
so
need three screens, but only have one.
yeah. Yes, yes. Okay, so you said something about schematic render.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a question about that because it is a constant debate on LinkedIn, on and off LinkedIn, actually,
Mm-hmm.
about whether those schematic renders can replace and or should replace flat sketches. What's your take on that?
Can I actually often trace them because I find they're a little blurry.
Uh-huh.
So I sometimes like I'll angle the fabric, or you can pull the skirt a certain way, or like position it in CLO, take
Mm,
the snapshot with the schematic render, pull it into Illustrator, and then trace over it and make sure it's nice and clean. So I'm
interesting.
actually no, I don't always use it directly from. I mean, if I'm in a jam and I want to be quick, yes, I might just grab it directly from CLO.
Mhm.
Um, but I do find that it's especially for visualizing those positions, whereas sometimes you want to sketch that from memory or just imagine it, like you're getting a much more realistic sketch when you
Mhm.
pull it from the render.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I haven't read these debates. I need to go looking. What is the are people against it?
Well, okay, I'm one of those people who don't believe that a schematic render can replace the flat sketch. I'm not convinced yet. I'm open to being convinced, but I'm not convinced. Now, I will say that there is a new feature in CLO that they just released in this last release, where the stitching, because that was one of my big issues, was the stitching. The
Yes,
stitching
yes,
is
I
now clear.
agree.
So okay, got it. I'm closer. Still not
Mm.
completely convinced, but
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's a little fuzzy. So that's why I would take the shape from the schematic, but I want my lines cleaner from vector drawings. That's
yeah,
what I've been finding. But I do find it's a good guide.
yeah. And then the other thing is, and this is something that I had not thought about before, but we had Rocio Evanet on CAD Chats, I think like 2 months ago, and she is a manufacturer and product developer in LA.
Okay.
And one of the things that she brought up was that the manufacturer looks at your garment flat. And so it's more helpful to them to see the the flat sketch so that they can kind of like match it up. And I was like, "Oh, I hadn't even like thought of it that way." I think that to me, I think 3D
Hmm.
and flat sketch is helpful. But I don't feel like a lot of people are like, oh, we'll just have the 3D replace the flat sketch and that's all you have in there. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I'm still like, I've got to see the proof. I don't believe it. I believe it when I say it.
Hmm.
But anyway,
That is interesting, though, in
yeah,
terms of how the
yeah.
proportions would. Because I sometimes find that you do a sketch, and then when you see the real garment, you're like, oh, I guess the proportions are a bit different to what I
Hmm.
imagined.
Yeah.
But um, it's true. That is a very interesting point that they're looking at it flat. They're not
Mhm.
necessarily looking at it on a mannequin or
Right.
a person. They're just the people in the production. Yeah, I've been in factories. Yes, we just look at it flat, and then it's folded or hung or you know.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, did never cross my mind. Never crossed my mind. But anyway,
Well,
food for
thank you for that.
thoughts.
Yeah. Yes, definitely
Yeah.
food for thought. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying you strictly do CLO3D. You haven't like gone into Blender or anything else like that.
Not
Which
yet. I mean, I
I
want to. I would
understand.
like to, but I mean, for the most part, my end product is not a pretty visualization. It's
Right.
something that's giving information.
Right, right. And I think sometimes people get very hung up on the pretty part, you know, and you have to kind of remind yourself, we're making physical products. And so it is more important that you create something that is accurate so that you can have an accurate physical product. Because like I want a pretty final sample. Like, yeah, it's really nice if the sketch is pretty, but like, we're selling an actual
Yeah.
room here, you know?
Yeah, just this week, I got a sketch from someone. I didn't do the sketch. They did the initial sketch. So then I did the design on an Alvanon avatar and the size that they requested, and I sent it. And she's like, "Oh, what size is that?" And I'm like, "Size 8." And she's like, "She's pretty sturdy." I'm like, "Yep, she's not a model. She's not long and thin. She's size 8. She looks real. She's a real person."
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it's very important.
So interesting that you brought that up. So you use the Alvanon forms, the Alvanon digital forms.
Yeah. I'm like obsessed. I want to make like I've always been obsessed with sizing, and if I have spare time, like that's all I want to do. Like I want to make all the blocks for like all the ranges. Like I haven't really got as far as I would like, but I just find it so fascinating.
Nice. Well, I mean, when you do, we're all here to take your blocks.
Take them off my hands.
Yeah, so we can just focus on design and stuff, and we already got a block, so it's great.
Yeah, no, I love the blocks, and I love those forms. Yeah, and all the little differences between the different ranges. The European and the curvy and then you're studying the measurements and you're looking at the subtle differences, and I'm just like, wow, there's just so much variation in the human body. And then you get into thinking about like, well, I guess it's the descent of the races and the mingling of the races over time, and that's how come all the different bodies came out different. Different populations. Like I just find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah, it is very fascinating. So my next question for you is AI. Are you using it? Are you thinking about using it? How are you using it?
Well, Jack GPT, his name is Jack, is my personal assistant. That came about one time with my daughter. I don't know, she sort of misspoke. And instead of saying Chat GPT, she said Jack. So since then, we call him Jack. So I use Chat GPT for work. At first, it was just sort of for fun, I think, but now I really do use it for work. Like I found initially when New York came out, I think I was pretty early on one of the people who had tried it out, and I really liked it, and I thought it was amazing. Just that before I had learned CLO, to get that 3D looking, well, it is a 3D image. It's just not accurate. It's a visualization, right? But now I don't use New York anymore. I use the ChatGPT. I've forgotten the name, DALI or something like that, inside of ChatGPT. Yeah. So sometimes like for a proposal, not necessarily for real work, if I just want to convert a sketch into a quick 3D image for someone to see, this is what your garment might look in 3D. It just makes it prettier. It's not accurate all the time, but it's prettier. So I do use that, I guess, AI tool for fashion. But other than that, ChatGPT is more of a support in terms of writing, checking facts, research, things like that.
Gotcha. And have you, has it become fully integrated into your regular workflow? Like, is that what your workflow is now, where you are, if let's say you're proposing something to a client, like you're starting with the design and you're putting it into AI, and then they say yay or nay, and then you're moving into 3D?
No, not always. No.
Okay.
That's, it's only if I feel like I want to, jazz up a portfolio a little bit. But I think those AI visualizations, for me, it's just, I think someone said, it's just it's still just a sketch in terms of the accurate. It's still just a sketch. It's just a prettier sketch. But I think everybody's just so accustomed seeing things look a little more jazzy and realistic that maybe it makes your proposal a little shinier. But no, I wouldn't call that part of my workflow at all. I'd call it more like polish.
Got it. So what do you believe is most beneficial about using CAD software, digital fashion software?
Yeah, well, I think we touched on it earlier, because I would say the accuracy, because it's you're seeing, before you touch fabric, you're seeing what this actually can look like, realistic size 8, real body, and the ability to sort of tweak. Oh, there's too many gathers. Oh, I think the pocket needs to be a little bigger, a little higher. I think I was envisioning the sleeves to be more poofy. Like all those little changes that in the past you would be cutting out your muslin, stitching it up, hanging it up, all that time, energy, um, labor, all of that. I just think that 3D has cut so much out of the process. It saves so much time and resource. And it's just very satisfying because you can get more done quicker.
Yeah. Are you doing any fitting in 3D yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Well,
Like, do
I think
you
it's going
feel
pretty.
like it's because there are a lot of technical designers that I know that still are just like, I don't trust it. I don't really get it. We can look at
Yeah.
the design aesthetics,
You can
but
test your
we
full
still
graded
need a
range. You can test the fit
yes.
because as you grade, I mean, yeah, you want to slap on one grade rule, but as the body changes shape, especially if you get up into plus sizes and the fat is distributed differently. I mean, depending on the the grade chart for that particular brand and how they've chosen to proportion their sizing, you can really get real information with the simulations of a garment as it gets larger. So I think it's very useful.
Nice. So my next question would be then, what is your favorite tool or your favorite
I
function?
just love to simulate. Okay, wait, let me be more specific. All right, when you've done up your little 2D pattern, and I mean, it's not necessarily the full pattern, but just seeing the 2D go in 3D, to me, that is just the most satisfying thing. I just love it. I
You
cannot get enough
are
of it.
you are the second person who said exactly the same thing. Like
I
seeing it
can't
come
get enough.
together is so satisfying.
I mean, yeah, sometimes sometimes I'll do it over just to watch it. I just love it because when you think about how much time I would have spent to cut, to sew, to put it up, and then you just go click and then you press your space bar and it's happening in
Yes.
seconds. It's amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
So simulate
Yeah.
is definitely it.
Gotcha.
I mean, there are lots of tools, there are lots of features, but I guess it makes me smile.
I understand. What's been the most challenging thing about working in CLO?
I thought it was a little difficult to learn at first. It took some time, and having come from physical, I mean, I definitely learned paper and fabric. I later learned Optitex. I had worked in a factory for a few years, and I redid Optitex there. But still, my initial learning was paper and fabric. So sometimes I do get a little stuck because it's all virtual. And the other day, there was a particular skirt. It had diagonal pleats from the hip pointing down. I could not get this thing to sit right. And in the end, I just said, I'm going to have to do this in fabric. So I did the whole thing in fabric, put it up on the mannequin. And then when your fingers sort of tell you, well, this is how it's supposed to be, and the fabric behaved. But then once my brain knew that, then I could make it work in 3D. But there's still a little bit of a gap, I guess. I'm not so fluent maybe in digital draping to have figured it out without the fabric.
I don't think that that's such a bad thing. And I don't think that that is, like a flaw within yourself. I think that there are just some things that
Some
you
things that
really just have to,
do it in real.
you just have to do it in real time. And then to your point, you're like, okay, once I saw it, then I'm like, okay, now I can translate that to paper. And I mean, it sort of happened that way, when we were first doing flat pattern. It's kind of like there's some things like I'm much more of a flat patterner. I'm not the biggest fan of draping, but I remember that there are some things that sometimes I couldn't quite figure out how or what, or like how to make it work on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had
Mm-hmm.
to like drape it first to get it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And then like I'd either trace it, or
And then clean it up. Yeah.
right, right. So I think, there's some things that, it just needs that tactility,
Mm-hmm.
um,
That's the word.
which
Yeah.
which probably is a good thing because, to the point of where people are like, hey, I was going to take our jobs. And like, apparently there are some things that they just cannot do. You
No,
cannot do it
definitely
digital.
not. Definitely not. Like and it's the stretch and the drape, and I mean, how do you really figure that particular, and the different, each pleat was a different size, a different angle, just to
Yeah.
get it to hang the way I wanted it to. So
Yes. Yes. And how are you handling fabric? Like, are you getting a fabric file from your clients? Are you getting an actual sample of the fabric and then maybe like measuring it or anything like that?
I haven't had the opportunity to go so detailed as yet. I've been just, going with the picture and using the properties and the GSM and
Hmm.
just coming up as close as possible. But
Gotcha.
ultimately, it's not like we're skipping sampling. So this is still just trying to get us as close as possible before we go to physical sampling.
Gotcha.
But I would love that. Like I heard, someone who's teaching, she was talking about how they would test the exact fabric and the exact model, and then they get to compare side by side. This is how the digital was and this is how the physical was. But that was a big company, which is, I'm
Yeah.
just a freelancer at home. But in the big companies, they get the opportunity, the access to that kind of learning and experimentation. So
Yeah. I think that is definitely a little bit of a hurdle for
mhm,
freelancers or even small brands who like can't afford to buy like the Visu machine or a
mhm,
closed fabric kit, which is crazy expensive. And the new fabric kit that they're about to come out with, I believe tomorrow, is even more crazy expensive.
mhm,
But I will say that there are some AI tools that do a pretty good job. I think
mhm.
there's sometimes you're going to have, like maybe some novelty fabrics that it's not quite going
Oh,
to
well, I
do
should
it.
follow up with you about those because, yes, I do feel like that is somewhere where I could improve. And if there's an AL tool that can give us more accurate properties and simulations, that'd be great.
Yeah, there's a good one called Textura. It's Textura for anybody else who needs something like that. And the nice thing about Textura is that all you really need is either a desktop scanner, and I think you can also work with, just your phone. A
Hmm.
desktop scanner to me is usually the best way because you lay it
It's
flat and you don't have to worry
flatter,
about like,
the
making sure that you've
shadows.
got the right angle with your phone.
Hmm.
But yeah, it takes that and then it takes like, fiber information, um, fabric weight, different things like
Hmm.
that. If you have like yarn count, stuff like that, and then it sort of figures out the drape from that, which is pretty amazing. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
like I
I've
said,
purchased different samples, like from Adobe Substance and
mhm.
FieldMod. I'll purchase if I can't find something that's exactly right. I'll just study all the details and figure out what's closest to what I'm working with.
Yeah, yeah. And I think for most people, like a lot of times, one of the many millions of things that are in the CLO fabric library, you'll usually be able to find something that's close enough.
Close enough. Yeah.
But if you ever have some kind of crazy novelty or something like that, there's options out there for you.
That sounds great. Yeah, I'll look into
Yeah.
that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, and I'm sure that there are others. I know that there's another one called Frontier Cool. I don't know how freelancer friendly the price is,
Mm.
but they are another one, and I'm sure there's there's more that are already out there, or that's going to be because of the need to be able to have these digital files of fabrics?
But I mean, I'm actually quite surprised still when you come across small brands or even not quite, I mean, people in the industry. I mean, somebody who's a brand new person to the fashion industry and they just decided they want to have a brand. Okay, fine. They may not be aware of all these capabilities. But some people, like with small brands, still working completely in paper, traditional methods, and they just sort of think that all this stuff is just for the big companies. So that's always a really interesting conversation when it's like, no, like it's accessible and it saves time, it helps you, it'll save you money. So I
Yeah.
just I'm always excited when I can find new things like that to make it better for them.
Yeah, and I feel like there are more coming on the market that are friendly to freelancers and smaller brands.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the emergence of like creator economy, people are kind of tuning into that and saying, oh, maybe we can make this a little more friendly. It doesn't have to be this huge corporate price tag.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice because it wasn't always like that. Okay, so we are
Mm-hmm.
running out of time. See how this
Oh
happens
yeah.
all the time. Isn't
Oh my.
that crazy? So I have a couple more questions. I have more questions, but
Sure.
I have some that I definitely want to get
Okay.
to. The
All right.
first is mouse, stylus, or trackpad.
Mouse. Oh, I have a lovely mouse. I'm showing you my mouse. It's like a
I
sideways
have
ergonomic.
that
Is
mouse.
it? We
Yes.
have the same one. I love
Yeah.
it.
And you know what? I got it because of somebody else on CAD Chats who told me about this mouse. Like
I love
this
my
is
mouse. I
this is an
love my
amazing mouse.
mouse.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'm a mouse person too. Every once in a while, I actually broke out my Wacom tablet a few weeks ago when I was trying to do something freehand, and then I quickly put it back away, and I was like, "Give me my mouse."
I recently got like an Apple Pen and I was trying some of the Illustrator with it. And for some
Mhm.
of like the free flowing, like a little drape in the skirt and the little like this, like the little ruffles on the sleeve, it is quite fun because you
Yeah,
get more control.
yeah.
But then I would sort of do whatever, some of that, but then I'm just going to pull it all back into the computer with the mouse at the end.
Hmm,
So I,
hmm.
I can see myself incorporating the stylus a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Just a little bit.
just a
So
little bit.
Jersey Art Productions said AI equals assist instantly. It should only assist creativity and human ideas and effort. And then he
Mm.
also says tech packs will be called AI packs eventually.
Oh,
I don't know about
I
that.
hope not.
Yeah, yeah, I hope not. I hope not. um, so what advice would you give to someone that's just starting to use digital tools as a
Mm.
technical designer or a pattern
Mhm.
maker or a 3D designer? Remember, we haven't decided what they're called these days. But what advice would you give to that person who's like, I'm thinking about it. I want to dip my toe, but I'm a little intimidated.
Well, here's a little tidbit about me. I used to teach piano, and I would tell my students that 10 to 15 minutes a day is so much better than just one long session on the weekend or the night before
Mm,
you come back to play for me. And I find it's the same thing for learning when I was learning CLO. I mean, I didn't do 10, probably did half an hour a day. But half an hour every day was so much better than 2 hours on Saturday morning or a big chunk 2 or 3 times for the week. I started to make progress and really it's solidified. You start to get the shortcuts sort of more naturally. Everything just started to click when I really started to just commit that short burst of time, but every day. And maybe when I say every day, like at least 5 days, right?
hmm, hmm.
So I think anybody who wants to learn these softwares, that is a more realistic way to go about it, I think. And you
Yeah,
won't be as hard on yourself and it won't be as frustrating.
yeah, agree,
Small
agree.
bites.
Chloe Martin Lurian,
Hi,
thank you for
Chloe.
tuning in. Says I have the same one too. 'Cause we're team mice.
It's a good mouse.
It is a good mouse. It is a good mouse. And Corey Burns. Hi, Corey Burns.
Hi, Corey.
She says, very true, Sarah.
Is that for the
Small
little
bites.
bites?
I
Yeah,
think for
small
small
bites.
bites of things.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
definitely.
sure. For
If you're
sure.
learning a piano piece, or if you're learning clo, and probably for most skills in life,
Mm-hmm.
vibes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, how can people follow you, support you, keep in touch with you? Where's the best place to find you?
I think LinkedIn and maybe Instagram. I have not been active since the summer, but I will be getting back on track soon. And I hope to have a website in the new year, 2026.
Nice,
That's the goal.
nice. And let everybody know what your LinkedIn is.
I think it's just my name, Sarah Wattley. And
Sarah
for
Wattley.
the Instagram, it's Sarah Wattley Design.
Nice. Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being our guest for
Thank you for
this
having
month.
me. This was so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it was awesome to have a slightly different perspective from a technical designer slash pattern maker slash 3D designer. And
Mhm.
thank you everyone who tuned in today. This is
Thank
our monthly CAD chats, last Thursday of every month. And so we will be back here next month. Next month is October.
you. Mhm.
At last Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure who we're gonna have
In
yet,
costume?
but
You're going to be in Halloween costume?
you know what? I might. I
Yeah.
may. That's a good idea. I'm okay. I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna come in costume, even if it's just like, bunny ears or something. Well, I'll have something
Yeah,
on.
I think so.
That should be fun. All right. Well, thank you,
Thanks so
everyone. Thank you
much.
again, and we'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.